Oh, come on. We want some crowd participation. How's everybody doing today? There we go. Thank you very much. I want to thank you all so much for taking the opportunity to come out and take a look at this burn today. We're going to show you something that's pretty impressive. You're going to get to see exactly how a residential fire sprinkler can put out a fire and keep a fire in check. There's going to be a lot of different speaking points we're going to talk about while we're doing it today. So, like Laurel said, kind of keep a close eye on what we're talking about here. I definitely want to take the opportunity to thank President Duncan and Rollins College for having us out here. This is a tremendous thing to show. Rollins, over a decade ago, or almost a decade ago, Rollins embarked on something that they certainly didn't have to do. And Rollins decided to voluntarily put fire sprinklers in every one of the residential life buildings on campus. There's 17 buildings on campus that they were able to do that to. They were able to do it in I think it was like a 7-year period, and on the cost of probably around $1 million. And that was money that Rollins chose to invest voluntarily in your safety. And that's pretty commendable that they were doing that. So rest assured that the residential buildings on campus of Rollins College are in fact protected better than anywhere could be. Besides that, you're very fortunate here on Rollins College that you're protected by City Winter Park Fire Department. We're very proud of that. We're very happy to be here at your service. We hope that you never need us, but just understand that we are here. A little bit about the department. We're actually internationally ISO Class 1 department. We are only one of 57 departments that have a Class 1 rating in the nation. There's about 40,000 fire departments that have a rating, and we are one of only 57 with a Class 1 fire department. So if you ever need our services, we're going to be there in a very timely fashion, and we're going to be able to provide services above and beyond most people can expect. So you're very, very fortunate here at Rollins College. So like I said, I really appreciate the Rollins staff for having us out and the Florida Sprinkler Association for making this happen for us. They were actually built the burn simulators, and they're actually going to be running the burn, so we certainly couldn't do it without them. Another thing that you're going to get the opportunity to see today is something that most people that see these burns don't get the opportunity to see. And you're going to get the opportunity to hear a guest speaker later who has a very, very tragic but very important story to share with you about losing her son in a residential dorm room fire on campus. So we really hope that you take the opportunity to really watch what's happening here and learn from this. Like I said, you should be proud that you have this ability already on campus, but there's still some tremendous learning opportunities here. So like we said, we've got 2 different burns that we're going to do. The first burn is going to be an unprotected room. That room up there is an 8x8 room that's got furnishings that you would typically find in any bedroom or any dorm room. Now the size, we could say that some dorm rooms are larger than 8x8. Some of you probably think your dorm room is smaller than 8x8. It's not, I assure you. But the other thing to point out is that this furniture is actually older furniture. The new, more modern furniture is actually going to burn hotter and quicker than the furniture that's pictured here. So the times that we're going to show you, you're not even going to be able to comprehend how quick this is going to happen. I'm here to tell you that in most common furniture, it could happen actually quicker. So just kind of keep that in mind. Fire safety is nothing to mess around about, and that's why we're here to show you. So the first burn will be in the non-protected room. We're going to have a clock right here, and we're going to time down exactly what's happening, and I'll give you some speaking points along the way. Once that burn is concluded, then we're going to take the opportunity and we're going to do the same burn in another occupant unit, but this one's going to be protected by a residential fire sprinkler. So I'll talk more about the importance of those fire sprinklers and the size and everything that we're dealing with, but I want to get it started with this over here. So when we get started, I'd like to have a couple volunteers come up and actually pack up the 2 trash cans that we're going to set on fire. So if a couple of you could come up, and the reason why I want audience members to do this, that's when I ask a question, I was hoping you guys could come and assist. Thank you very much. The reason why I want you to do this is I want you to verify that that is just newspaper. There's nothing else in there. There's not gasoline. There's nothing. We're not making this more dramatic than it needs to be. The fire itself is what's going to be dramatic. We don't have to make it any more relevant than that. So you can see they're very, very thorough when checking this all out. I appreciate the help, fellas. All right, so the fire. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. The fires that we're going to start are just going to start off in a trash can. You're going to see how slow that fire may start or how quick that fire may start. And that's one of the things we're here to show you, okay? You'll probably be surprised at how rapid this could happen. Now, I want you to keep in mind that a cigarette fire, a fire that's originated by a cigarette butt, can smolder for hours before it actually lights off. What we're simulating is that cigarette butt going straight in that trash can and what could happen, and you'll see the speed of that. So are we, no. All right, they're still getting it set up. So I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about the sprinkler, the one sprinkler head. Keep it in check. Once we get the fire started in the sprinkled room, there's only one sprinkler head in that room. Only one sprinkler head. That single sprinkler head is only a ½ inch. That means that the orifice in that sprinkler head is only a ½ inch, and it's only going to be flowing about 13 gallons of water a minute. I think my mic just cut out, so let me say that again. That sprinkler will be flowing 13 gallons a minute. The purpose of a fire sprinkler system is not to extinguish the fire, it's to keep the fire in check long enough for you to get out. That's the intent of the fire sprinkler. What we're probably going to see is that the fire sprinkler will actually put the fire out. But it's only an inch and a ½ inch head, okay, flowing 13 gallons a minute. So I'd remember that fact because that's going to become important later. The other thing is this is only dealing with about 50 or 60 pounds of water pressure coming into it. We're not pumping it any higher than it needs to be. This is just what's coming out of what would normally be coming out of the city water. The other important figure to know is this. That sprinkler head is going to automatically go off at 155 degrees. 155 degrees is typically the operating temperature of a head. So that's 155 degrees up at the ceiling. You'll see how quick that can actually happen. All right, we're still just getting ready here, so we'll... You notice the rooms have plexiglass on the front of them, just a little bit of plexiglass. The purpose of that is only to hold the smoke in so we can watch how smoke travels in that room, and that's something we're going to describe as it happens. The other important thing to notice is each room has a smoke detector in it, so you're going to see how quickly that smoke detector will go off. And it's a very important time of the year to talk about smoke detectors. Can anybody tell me why? What was that? Christmas lights, good, but not what I'm looking for. Thank you. So a firefighter answered the question, so he doesn't get a t-shirt. He understood the answer. So this time of the year when we change our clocks is when we ask you to change the batteries in your smoke detectors, okay? It's so very important. Smoke detectors have to work properly to save your life. Batteries are what's going to make that difference, okay? So at least twice a year you should be changing that smoke detector battery. The purpose of the smoke detector is not to tell you that your dinner's done, right? The purpose of the smoke detector is to let you know that something's going on in the building. One of the things that we have a problem with, a lot of people perceive when fire alarms go off as them being false alarms. That's something we absolutely have to get out of the habit of, because you'll see how quickly this can happen. We cannot think that fire alarms are anything but. Fire alarms should only be telling us that we need to evacuate the building because something could be happening. So do not take fire alarms for granted. Don't just stay in your room if you hear the fire alarm go off. Go ahead and get out of the room. Let us get there and let us do what we need to do so we can get you back in your room as quick as possible. Okay, make sure you take fire alarms seriously. Have you ignited yet, or? All right, so we're going to start the ignition right now. Again, the room we're looking at is the room over here to the left. Let me try to get out of everybody's way. Maybe over here is better. And the fire is going to start in a trash can in that back right-hand corner. Okay. The clock's going right now. You can start to see smoke just barely starting to come up. All right, see the trash can starting to light on fire in the back of the room right now. Now we got to listen for that fire, that smoke detector. All right, that smoke detector's just gone off. So look at the time. The smoke detector just went off, less than 45 seconds from ignition time. Okay. Now you think about it, that fire alarm system's calling dispatch right now and letting them know. But that's going to take about 15 seconds before that fire is acknowledged and telling dispatch. So right about now, we've gotten a 911 call. 1 minute since that match basically hit that trash can. You notice smoke is traveling up. You know that heat travels up. Smoke travels up till it can't go higher. Fills across the ceiling and then it's starting to come down. You can see the smoke banking down. Look at this. This is 120 seconds or a minute 20 seconds after this ignition. It's going to take about 60 seconds for dispatch to process that call. The fire department's probably just now getting the tones at the fire station. Now fortunately the fire station is less than a mile from here, so we're going to have a very quick response time. But even after we hear that the fire alarm is, that we have a fire on campus, it could take up to 60 seconds, which is actually quick, 60 seconds for the firefighters to dress in their protective equipment. Fire is actually flashed over now at 1 minute and 50 seconds. Everything in the room is caught on fire. All the gas is caught on fire. Flashover temperature is over 1,000 degrees. Look at the time frame. The fire department's probably just now, maybe getting on scene.
That was the light bulb.
That was the light bulb in your lamp. That could be your dorm room. You see how quick we're talking? We're not even 2.5 minutes into this, and look at what could happen. This could be devastating if we were trapped inside of that room.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can start to feel the heat, but this is pretty significant heat here. That room is fully involved. That is non-survivable fire, okay? You can see how quickly the firefighters are able to put that fire out, but there's still some time before we can get on scene. All right, let's give a hand to our firefighters for getting that fire put out. Now you think about that toxic smoke. How quickly that toxic smoke built up. Now unfortunately some of you might get a bit of a whiff on that, but if you were inside and you caught some of that smoke, that's the smoke that would put you unconscious and give you a bad day. So there's still obviously a bunch of heat left in the room. So the firefighters are what we do, they're called mopping up. They're just going to get that heat knocked back. But you can see how quickly that happened. I want you to think of what you just saw the next time that fire alarm goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning and you just really don't want to get out of bed. I want you to think about how quickly that happened. Now, if that happened inside of somebody's room and they left the door open on the way out, that smoke that you just saw could be coming down the hallway in your dorm room, okay? For those of you that, that don't live on campus, that live in a home, or anybody else that's got a home, think about the smoke that could happen in your bedroom, in your hallway. The smoke is what's going to make you unconscious and knock you down, and bad things are going to happen from that point. It can obviously be catastrophic. So you can see the amount of damage in just an 8 by 8 foot room. All that was in there was 2 couches, a lamp, a television, a nightstand, and a couple of books. That's not a heavy fuel load at all. You saw how quickly that happened. You verified, some of the people in the audience verified the fuel that we used was nothing more than just paper. There were no accelerants used. What kind of time frame were we looking at there? The whole thing happened from the match hitting that trash can to flashover occurring in less than 3 minutes. You don't have time. You don't have time. You need to take this stuff seriously. You need to get out of the buildings. retool here in a second. We're going to get the fire going shortly in the sprinkled room so you can see the difference there. I want you to remember, 13 gallons a minute coming out of that sprinkler head. That sprinkler head's going to fuse at 155 degrees. They're just now starting the fire. A lot of people think that when the sprinklers go off, every sprinkler goes off in the building. That is not in fact true. Each sprinkler head in each affected area goes off. So one sprinkler head will keep this fire in check. You can see the fire starting already in the trash can. You can see the smoke traveling up till it can't go up anymore. Then it's going out. And then finally you'll start to see the smoke coming down. 21 seconds, the smoke detector's activated. So again, we're waiting for that sprinkler head to fuse, which will be at 155 degrees at the ceiling. Okay, you think about it, 45 seconds into it, we're 20 seconds after when that fire started. So dispatch is just right around now calling you on the phone, or you're calling them saying, hey, my building's on fire. The sprinkler head just went off. Look at the conversion of the smoke. Automatically the smoke starts to get better. What that white is, that's actually steam. That's actually steam that's going off. You can see the water dripping down. That's only 13 gallons of water a minute that has kept that fire in check. We're going to let this fire sprinkler run for a couple minutes, and it will actually extinguish that fire. 13 gallons a minute, residential fire sprinkler head, that's what will save your life. Okay? Like we said, Rollins voluntarily took it upon themselves to make sure that every one of the residential buildings was sprinkled, which is a phenomenal thing. 155 degrees is when that sprinkler head went off. 155 degrees at the ceiling. Over here, our ceiling temperature was well over 1,000 degrees. Now earlier, when the firefighters put the fire out, we gave firefighters a round of applause. Now what I'd like for you to do is give the fire sprinklers a round of applause, because that's what put this fire out this time. The reason why we have safety levels like that is because the dedicated professionals we have with us in the red shirts from the Florida Fire Sprinkler Association, they represent a lot of the sprinkler contractors in the area, and they're the dedicated professionals that make sure that you don't need to see us when something like this happens. Now the fire department's still going to respond, don't get me wrong. But look at that couch, I mean, I wouldn't want to sit in it afterwards, but that couch is still intact versus what we have over here. Again, perspective. That fire sprinkler, I'm going to say, has been running for 2 minutes. We're talking 26 gallons of water. Very little bit of water has actually extinguished that fire. If we catch it early enough, we can put it out quickly. Okay, so now we turn the water off so you can actually see inside. The smoke detector may still go off if it'll function. But look at the damage. Look at the side-by-side damage. If that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. I could sit here and tell you about how effective fire sprinklers are, or we can just look at that. That's remarkable. Fire sprinklers save lives. Smoke detectors save lives. That's why you need to change those batteries. The only way smoke detectors are going to save lives is if you actually listen to them. If a smoke detector or fire alarm goes off, you need to take the opportunity to evacuate. Now it's important to point out how small those fires started. Those fires started a simple trash can fire. Think about this, put it in perspective. Just simply lighting a couple posters on fire, or something as insignificant as that, as what some people might think insignificant, that could turn catastrophic, okay? People could lose their lives over something like that. Fire is not a game, we can't play around with it. Now you can see there's just a little bit of smoldering still happening where the fire started in the actual trash can. But by this time, the fire department would certainly come out, and the fire department would be on scene, and the fire department would be able to take it from here. But you can obviously see that that fire was stopped by that fire sprinkler. So what the firefighters are doing right now is actually something we would do if there was an actual fire in this building, and that's called overhaul. And sometimes when you see fire departments on scene and you see them doing what looks like very destructive work, there's a reason why. And one of the reasons why we're doing something like this is to make sure that there's not hidden fire anywhere. So in this situation, all they did was simply take the couch away from the trash can that caught fire to make sure that that fire sprinkler has extinguished it fully. But you saw what that fire sprinkler did, and it kept that fire in check, and it would have saved people's lives, undoubtedly, saved people's lives in that room. Look at the burn pattern on the back wall. Look at the burn pattern and how insignificant that burn pattern is compared to what happened over here. That sprinkler stopped that fire 1 minute and 7 seconds from ignition. 1 minute and 7 seconds from ignition, that fire was extinguished. The temperature in this room at the ceiling only ever reached 155 degrees. The temperature in the unprotected room went well over 1,000 degrees at the ceiling.
Let us go up there. Not yet.